Relationships are full of peril. No one will deny that. But can an AI like Notebook LM understand and give us further insights? Stay tuned because you're going to find out.
Ever notice how even with all the dating apps and relationship advice out there, relationships still feel kind of like a puzzle?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're constantly trying to crack the code.
Yeah.
Well, today, we're diving deep into that exact mystery, using some thoughts you, our awesome listeners, sent in about the challenges men and women face when it comes to relationships.
Looking forward to it.
You know, one of the things that really struck me from what you shared was this idea that women can be taken advantage of, even when they're, trying to be supportive and nice partners.
Right.
What's your take on that?
You know, it's interesting. What strikes me is how that resonates with this age-old idea of women as nurturers. You know, historically, women have often been the caretakers, emotionally and practically, and that's not necessarily a bad thing in itself.
Of course not.
But the source makes us think about how that can actually become a point of vulnerability in relationships.
Especially now, maybe more than ever.
Yeah, especially. And the source touches on this too, with fewer external support systems in place these days.
It's true. It's like we've moved away from that traditional village mentality where, everyone kind of helped raise each other's kids and supported each other through thick and thin. It feels like things are a lot more isolated now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that what the source means by the decline of support systems, you think?
Yeah, definitely. The source specifically mentions that in the past, families lived closer, communities were a lot more tight-knit.
Right.
And having those networks meant there were more checks and balances in a relationship, more people kind of invested in a couple's well-being. These days, couples are often navigating these challenges in a much more isolated way.
In their own little bubble.
Exactly. And that can unfortunately make any imbalances in the relationship even more pronounced.
And that brings us to that classic man-child dynamic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like it's easier for that to creep in when you're in that isolated bubble.
Right.
And I've definitely seen that happen, where women end up feeling more like they are managing a partner instead of, feeling genuinely supported themselves.
Right.
So while we're on that topic, what about the flip side of that?
Yeah.
What does the source say about the anxieties that men might be facing in relationships today?
Well, that's a great transition because the source actually talks about this idea of men potentially fearing emasculation.
Interesting.
Right, and it uses this really interesting comparison, Alan Alda.
Okay, yeah.
Remember him?
I can see it, yeah. Kind of the sensitive, emotionally expressive guy.
Exactly, that kind of archetype.
Okay.
And what the source is suggesting is that some men might worry that, fully embracing that level of vulnerability could lead to them being perceived as less capable, almost infantilized.
Oh, so it's like by being the sensitive guy, they worry about becoming the child in the relationship in a way.
Yeah, you phrased that perfectly.
Wow.
Because that dynamic, that fear, can lead to a lot of resentment on both sides.
Of course, yeah.
The woman might feel like she has to be more in control, take on more responsibility, and it ends up becoming this kind of mother figure.
It's tough because, and maybe this is what the source is getting at, women are often drawn to strength and independence in a partner, but by wanting the man to man up, they then risk pushing him away or stifling those very qualities they were initially attracted to.
Oh, absolutely. And on the flip side, men are being told to be more emotionally open and vulnerable, which is great.
Right.
But then they're afraid that by doing so, they'll be seen as less attractive or capable.
It's a real catch-22 for everyone involved.
Totally.
It makes you wonder if all of this dance we do in relationships, is it purely a result of, changing gender roles in society? Or is it something more, hardwired into us?
Yeah.
Maybe both.
It's the age-old nature versus nurture debate, right?
Yeah.
But what I find so fascinating is that the source doesn't try to give us a simple answer,
That's true. It's making us think.
Yeah, it challenges you, the listener, to consider how might these societal expectations be playing out in your own life? How might your own inherent predispositions be showing up in your relationship?
So to kind of wrap up this deep dive, it seems like those core anxieties that the source highlighted, women fearing vulnerability and men fearing emasculation, might actually be two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. They're intertwined. And maybe, just maybe, understanding those anxieties, where they come from, how they manifest in our own lives, that's a step towards having healthier, more fulfilling relationship.
I love that. Something to think about.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, on that note, that wraps up this deep dive.
Fantastic.
Until next time.
See you then.